Now it's time to bring you today's perspective. And over the weekend, Iran's supreme leader for the first time publicly admitted that thousands of his own people have been killed in the huge demonstrations there. He even said that some of them were killed in an inhuman, savage manner. A huge statement, although Ayatollah Ali Khamenei went on to blame the US for the deaths rather than his own regime. Well, latest estimates are that at least 3,000 people have lost their lives. Many more, of course, have been injured. That as the internet blackout in Iran has run past 10 days in the effort by the authorities to stamp out any dissent. Well, we're going to discuss the latest then with Aïda Tavakoli, who's founder of the group We Are Iranian Students. Thanks very much for coming in and talking to us on the programme today. I know, just mentioned the internet blackout, it's incredibly difficult, isn't it, to get information out from Iran. But have you heard anything about what the latest position seems to be across the country?
Well, it's been 9 days, unbearable 9 days. We have no news from our family, from our friends. We don't know if they went out, if they are alive or dead. What we know is that anyone in Iran that has been part of the protests today is threatened by the regime of executions, precisely because of the propaganda you just mentioned. Because if they are assimilated to foreign powers, then the Islamic regime uses death penalty. And to that regard, Mr. Trump just changed his mind from one day to another, from supporting the protesters and then respecting the Islamic regime, because apparently they would have cancelled 800 executions. Just this number, which, by the way, was not mentioned inside the country, but this number just shows how the Islamic regime uses execution and death penalty by hanging as a tool of repression. And
presumably no real evidence that those executions have been cancelled either.
Absolutely, but we do know that the Islamic regime, only in the year of 2025, they executed more than 1,500 people, which is massive. So today the civilian society in Iran massively is in danger, their life are in danger, and the international community is just not understanding the emergency of assisting this civilian society that has been demanding a change of regime very clearly, a democratic transition. What we call for as association of the civil society and defending their rights is starting with the end, starting with the democratic transition. There are a few steps that the international community should take right now. First is, of course, breaking the blackout. We need a coordinated action from the international community.
Is that possible for the international community to do that? I mean, obviously they're not in the country.
Well, absolutely it is. Through the Starlinks satellites, through the means of technology, a coordinated action can absolutely take place to help the protesters get information out and put light on what happened. This is the first step. The second step is sending help and also investigating what truly happened to get the Islamic regime to be accountable for the crimes that it committed. Then we have to also, as an international community, understand that when a government just can only uses violence to keep the power, then it means that it's not the legitimate representative of its civil society, which is something that politically should be acted through a coordinated multilateral action, political action of the international community, the United Nations.
How can the international community do that? I mean, a lot of the things that you're saying seem to me to indicate that the way to do that is to go into Iran, to get troops to go into Iran, to enable that to happen. How else can it be done?
I'm not calling for military action, even though some military action can actually be today relevant because of the emergency of the situation, but the political actions also exist.
Will that make a difference, though? Enough of a difference?
Well, it does. I mean, there are a huge range of actions that can be taken. None of them have been taken. Just this week, the World Economic Forum starts in Davos, and the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Iran was invited, which is a way of legitimizing this criminal regime. And may I say that Abbas Araghchi, who is the Minister of Foreign Affairs, is also a member of the Supreme National Security Council, which is precisely the organ that issued the order to use military weapons against the unarmed civilians. So those kind of political decisions, they do have tremendous impact on what is happening inside of Iran. This is a way of abandoning not only the civilians inside of Iran, but also the entire future of the region, the entire future of the world. It's just, legitimizing criminals. It means that they are not accountable. It means that our world is, the future of our world is just chaos. So what I'm calling now is those kind of political action, they do have a very negative impact inside the country, but other political decisions can have a good impact inside. So just recognizing that this regime is not legitimate anymore, cut any diplomatic ties with them, do not invite them into those international forums, and also call for a democratic transition through the organization of free voting process.
Knowing the people of Iran, knowing your family, knowing your friends, how do you think they are responding to what's happened in Iran? I mean, obviously there was an awful lot of anti-regime feeling before this happened, but after what's happened and the number of people that have been killed, presumably that has grown much more, or is it a case now of just fearing the regime?
Well, every time the civilian society in Iran start demonstration, it's not the first time, and every time it gets, more and more intense, and the courage of the Iranian people just inspire the entire world, and every time the repression is just more violent and more cruel, the numbers that we are hearing today are just, they are unbearable for the Iranian people inside and outside of the country. And what the Iranian people feel is that every time their courage just weaken the regime, it's the time the international community chooses to negotiate with them, which is so unfair. And it's not just about being unfair, it's just it's a way of organizing our world that just leads to what is happening with Greenland, what is happening with Russia, what is happening with China. I mean, those superpowers, when they know they are not accountable, when they know that anything is possible in this world, just ruled by the law of force, then no one is protected. So I call for just some responsibility of the international community. The future of 90 million people in the Middle East, who are, by the way, the most educated one. It's the most populated country of the Middle East. Well, it cannot be held by the decision of one man in the United States who is going to make his decision through truth social from one day to another and change his mind.
Just time to ask you finally, I mean, presumably what has happened over the last 10 days, it appears, as we've said, very difficult to know, that things are calmer within the country, if that's the right way of putting it at the moment. But do you think that there will be just another spark and this will
Definitely,
kick off again?
Of course. It has never, the Women Life Freedom Uprising, it started in 2022, and we called it a revolution already because the political revolution happened at that moment. The legitimacy of the Islamic regime just was just disappeared. The Iranian people were very clear about their demand of regime change. But then the economic crisis just added on what is happening, and the hydric crisis also. There is no way the Islamic regime can hold its power just through terror. So even if, because of the violence and cruelty of what happened and of the crimes that can be qualified of crimes against humanity, well, today, the civilian society started, of course, going back home. In some cities, in other cities, we see that this courage is just, mesmerizing. They still go in the street. But even if this violence keep going until everyone is at home, well, it's going to take only a few months before it starts again. And how many more deaths do we need? How many more civilians do we need and young people who lost their life before we just act the fall of the Islamic regime and begin this democratic transition for a democratic and secular Iran?
Good to talk to you on the programme today. Thank you very much
for coming
so much,
Stuart.
And talking to us on the programme. Aïda Tavakoli, founder of the group We Are Iranian Students. Thanks.